Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel if you're not new, and if you are new, then welcome to the channel. So, in a few minutes, I'm going to be leaving. I'm going to go see Spider-Man Brand New Day for the first time. Pretty hyped about that. And I am seeing it in ScreenX. So if you guys don't know what that is, I'll show you right here. It's a theater where, there's like the main center screen, like most theaters. But there's also a screen on, each side of like the walls, kind of creating like a 270-degree like view. And in the past, all movies shown on ScreenX have been stretched in post-production to fit the screen, but to my knowledge, I believe Spider-Man Brand New Day is the first movie to be filmed, exclusively for, well, not exclusively, but to fit ScreenX. There's like 3 cameras recording the movie at all times for that 270-degree view, so that's pretty cool. The movie's probably gonna look pretty sick. It is a 2-hour drive, which, is not nothing. But hey, it's for Spider-Man, so I'm pretty pumped. But first part of this video is gonna be me going over my predictions. What I think is personally gonna happen in this movie, and then I'll be coming back from the movie, giving my final thoughts. There's gonna be spoilers, so I'll give you a little heads up when I'm gonna give you some spoilers, and then I'll see how right I was. And I'm probably gonna like the movie, but I'll be going over that. So I got them written down on my phone here. Let me see if that'll focus. I don't know if it will. Yeah. So I have it written down on my phone, kind of some predictions that I think is going to happen. First things first, Sadie Sink. Most likely Jean Grey. It's kind of what I figured the whole time. I'm seeing some people be like, oh, finally we're getting a accurate Mary Jane. Sonya, I don't remember the last time Mary Jane had telepathic powers and was a villain being chased by the DODC, so don't really think that's going to happen. And we already have an MJ. It's Zendaya, so it's not going to be MJ. And then she also signed on to be in Secret Wars, so she's not some small side character either. So she most likely is Jean Grey. I see some people saying she could be Rachel Summers, daughter from the future of, Scott Summers and Jean Grey. I've seen some people say she could be like Mayday Parker, another daughter from the future of Peter Parker and MJ, but it's most likely Jean Grey. I know that Kevin Feige's really big on, after Secret Wars, we're going into the mutant saga, and when we're gonna get like a MCU 616 Streamline Universe, the X-Men are gonna be the front of it. So it's Jean Grey. Like it just is. If I'm proven wrong, then I'm proven wrong. I'm not gonna be upset about it, but it's most likely Jean Grey. Next thing they talk about. So what I think is going on in the movie is, well, obviously, Peter's going through some changes. We can see that in the trailer, but I think he sees Zendaya, well, MJ, with her new boyfriend, and I could be wrong here. I'm gonna take a shot in the dark. In the trailer, when he's like kind of falling off like the building and he's not even trying to swing, like this could be pretty dark, but I think he's like low-key, like possibly like committing suicide, because maybe like the first like few minutes of the movie he's building himself up to give himself the letter to MJ, and then right before he does, he sees that she has a new boyfriend, so maybe he's like, nah, fuck this shit, I'm not even gonna be here anymore. And then that's when it's like he's at such a high level of stress and anxiety, going through so much, that makes his like mutations kind of come out a little bit. So maybe that's what's going on. But I think that Jean Grey is in the movie. It's Sadie Sink, and I think she's being chased by the Department of Damage Control, and I think she's actually trying to seek Spider-Man's help. So you can kind of see her switching between person to person, kind of messing with Spider-Man. Maybe she's like, I don't know, like pressuring him into helping her, because like she needs some help, and then maybe Spider-Man's kind of torn between helping, Jean, or he's seeing all these people, of New York City being, I don't know, tormented by this telepathic villain, so he wants to help them, and maybe he's kind of like torn in the middle. So he's kind of dealing with that little dilemma. Next thing, Bruce Banner. So, what I had written down here. I think something's going to happen in the movie to where he's either going to be sent away to prison, or he's just not going to be allowed to roam free anymore after, like, Jean Grey made, like, I don't want to say Savage Hulk, because it doesn't look like it's, like, Savage Hulk. It might be. Some people are thinking it could be Grey Hulk, and, they're just, like, editing it to make him look green in the trailers, and it's actually Grey Hulk that comes out. Either way, there's a version of Hulk that comes out that Bruce can't control because of Jean, and causes a lot of fucking damage to the city. So afterwards, the city's either gonna, like, lock him up, be like, nah, Bruce, you clearly can't control this guy. Like we all thought you could. So he's either gonna locked up or something, because he's not in Doomsday, or at least it's what it looks like. He's not in Doomsday. So yeah, I'm thinking he's probably going to get locked up. I don't know if he's going to... Another thing I had written down that I kind of, like, had an idea of, like, maybe during his fight with Spider-Man, he ends up... I don't want to say killing Spider-Man, but a lot of people are thinking that, like, Spider-Man might die, and then in the post-credit scene, it's recreating the, famous comic cover where he's rising from the grave. He's got the symbiote suit on, so that, like, kind of revives him and brings him back. So if he does die, maybe it's in the fight with the Hulk, and that's why the Hulk and Spider-Man aren't in Doomsday. That's kind of a theory I have, but I don't think that's the case, because I don't think the Hulk fight is the final fight. Like, it's not. It's the fight against the Hand, or a fight that just hasn't been seen in the trailers yet. So he doesn't die against the Hulk, but I do think the Hulk is going to get locked up. I think Spider-Man might die in the final fight. I don't know. But there's also a shot in the trailer, this shot right here, where, he's at, like, a parade praising Spider-Man. He's got cuts over his face. People are thinking that this is, like, the last shot of the movie, which, if that's the case, then that'd be cool. And, I mean, Spider-Man didn't die, but I don't know. There's just too many what-ifs. Another thing that I had written down, okay, so Peter, dealing with all these mutations and everything, I think he's going to end up turning into Man-Spider in the final battle because of all the mutations going on. But, like I said earlier, how he's kind of, like, deciding between whether to help Department of Damage Control or help Jean, I think he's going to ultimately decide to help Jean. So then, when Man-Spider comes out, because of the mutations, Jean can, like, I don't know, go into his mind or something, or, like, suppress the mutations, or eliminate it, so he doesn't stay as Man-Spider, or something like that. But I think he's going to help her, so she's going to end up helping him somehow in the final battle. And I definitely think there's a Daredevil cameo in the prison when Spider-Man's fighting the Hand, because, well, obviously the Hand is one of the most popular, like, enemy groups of Daredevil, and Daredevil's in the same fucking prison that Spider-Man's in when he's fighting the Hand, so he better make a cameo. I don't think he's going to, like, if he does make a cameo and, like, help Spider-Man fight the Hand, he's not going to end up, like, leaving the prison with Spider-Man. He's probably going to decide to stay in the prison, because obviously Daredevil Season 3, Born Again, he's in the prison. He's got, like, the prison Daredevil mask on. So he doesn't leave the prison, but I do think he's there in the movie, and he helps Spider-Man out a little bit. Another thing I had, okay, so not every movie in the MCU has a death. Not every Tom Holland Spider-Man movie has a death. But I think this one will, because I know this is going to be a very emotional movie. Peter's dealing with a lot. And Spider-Man is a character that, very relatable to. Tragic character. Hero, but a lot of tragedy in his life. And I think during this movie, maybe, like, what causes the mutations to, like, finally come out, like, at the end, if he is going to turn into Man-Spider, is seeing either MJ or Ned die. Like, I know it'd be kind of, I don't want to say pointless. I know it'd be sad to, like, MJ and Ned finally remember him and then one of them just dies. But I think that would make sense on, like, what pushes him to the edge to, like, finally come out into the Man-Spider form. Especially if, like, throughout the movie he learned to suppress the mutations or kind of control it a little bit, and then something happens to, like, just make it come out. So that's what I think is going to happen. I think someone's going to die, whether it's MJ or Ned, or low-key maybe the Punisher. Like I don't see it being the Punisher, but he's just a regular dude and he's fighting the Hulk. Like, buddy, guns are not going to do anything. We'll see though. I do think there's going to be a death. Like, and if there is going to be a death, I mean an extra one, not including Spider-Man, if Peter's going to die. So Jean Grey is in Secret Wars, or at least Sadie Sink's in Secret Wars, most likely playing Jean Grey. So I think she's going to, end up being on Peter's side at the end of this movie, and then they are going to somehow get sucked into Battleworld together, whether it's like at the end where Peter revives from the symbiote and he gets Jean, and I don't know, they somehow go to Battleworld. I don't know, but final predictions before seeing this movie in a few minutes, or at least leaving in a few minutes. Peter, he's going to end up switching to Man-Spider form. He decided to help Jean, so she's going to help him to suppress Man-Spider, or just like stop Man-Spider from even becoming a thing. And then Peter's going to die in the final battle, probably, possibly. And then Symbiote's going to revive him. Post-credit scene, him reviving from the grave. And then, yeah, finding, with the symbiote. Him reviving from the grave with the symbiote. He and Jean linking up again. And then, yeah, we'll see him in Secret Wars. So, we'll see. I'm really excited. I know visually this is going to be the best Spider-Man movie. I already heard some people earlier reviews saying it's their favorite Spider-Man movie since, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 2. So I'm probably going to have the same thoughts, but we don't know until I get back, until you hear from me. But I'm really excited. Visually, looks amazing. Web slinging in action looks fucking awesome. It reminds me of Insomniac Spider-Man 1. Like, yeah, the movie's going to be great. So you guys will see me when I get back from the movie in a second. Alright guys, so it has been a few days since you just saw me talk just a few seconds ago. That was Thursday. It's now Sunday. So, I've seen the movie 3 times now, which kind of goes to show I love it. It's amazing. I'm still trying to think if it's just the recency bias or if like these thoughts will stick. But I personally think it's the best made Spider-Man movie. I don't know if it's my favorite. It might be. It's definitely up there. But amazing movie. Definitely one of the best MCU movies. It just felt the most Spider-Man that a Spider-Man movie has felt, in my opinion. I have lots of thoughts written down on my phone that I'll look at and start to get into, but before, I'll kind of just go off the top of my head. Visually, one of the best looking Marvel movies that I've seen. The camera angles, the action, the web slinging, the color grading, just everything was so well put together, and it put a lot, like it really went well with the theme and the feeling of this movie. Just very bright, like trying to stay positive in dark times. And I'll get into the theme of the movie later, but yeah, visually amazing looking movie. I loved it. Can't wait to see it again. Yeah, we're already seeing it 3 times. I'll probably see it more though. So I will get into my thoughts here, but yeah, I loved it. I was definitely wrong on most of what I said. There was like a few things I was kind of right on, but I was definitely off. Not, disappointed. Like, I'm glad. Like, the movie turned out to be amazing. It deserves all the praise and the money it's getting right now. It's seriously great. But let me get into my notes here. I do have a lot written down. So, going back to some of the visuals, the action and the web slinging, just you can tell that they took inspiration from Insomniac Spider-Man, because there's a lot of moves in this that you'll be able to catch, if you've played the games, or even if you've seen anybody play the games. What they wanted to do, one of the things they wanted to do for this movie, they really wanted to do their homework, and so they not only listened to what the fans would want, they went to the Insomniac Marvel Spider-Man game and pulled out some of the moves, and you can tell, like, it just looks awesome. And same with the web slinging. Like, a lot of the web slinging looks amazing. All of it looks amazing because it was done practical and not CGI. Destin Daniel Cretton, just give him the keys to the franchise. Like, he needs a trilogy. He knows what he's doing. You can tell he's put a lot of passion into this to make it look amazing for the fans, and it does. It looks amazing, and yeah, I love the movie. So that was some more of the visuals. I'll kind of get into what I say here. So, this feels like the most Spider-Man that a Spider-Man movie has felt Spider-Man is supposed to be a grounded, street-level character that occasionally, yeah, gets brought up into some big events to help out the Avengers. But he's not an Avenger. He's not supposed to be facing multiversal, world-ending threats every single time he's on screen. Like, he is a hero of the smaller people. He's capable of doing those bigger threat missions, but that's not what he's for. And you can tell in this movie. Yes, there are some characters from the Marvel Universe that appear in this movie, but it's not like an Avenger helping him out and kind of babying him and mentoring him. It's not like two Spider-Man helping him out. Obviously, those moments were cool, but Spider-Man's an adult now. This movie takes place 4 years after the last one. He knows what he's doing, and you can tell. He's been fighting crime for 4 years. The city loves him. Crime rates have gotten to a low because of him. And, yeah, he knows what he's doing. It feels like, kind of like Superman from last year. How you could just open up a Superman comic book and it just throws you right into the middle of a story. And it all begins and gets resolved within that comic book, within that same movie. So that's kind of what this feels like. Everything begins and gets resolved within the movie, even though there are some things that, can still set up future movies. There's no cliffhangers that are getting left off on. Everything feels wrapped up very well. And the stakes are high. Like, they don't feel low. Like, they are high. But yeah, it just feels like an amazing Spider-Man movie. No reference to Amazing Spider-Man. But, yeah. Spider-Man movie. Oh yeah, another thing. All the characters do serve a role in this movie. They're there for a reason. They add on to the plot. They're not just meaningless cameos. Not saying any other movies the characters were meaningless cameos, but they did have a small role, and most of the reason they were there was for nostalgia and, the aura moments. But no, this actually had plot. Like, everything made sense by the time the movie got done, and you just, left wondering what's next for these characters. So the movie does a really good job incorporating that. And also, yeah, I guess I haven't even said yet. Spoiler alert, get into spoilers here. Jean Grey is who Sadie Sink plays. That is the one thing I got right. I mean, a lot of people got that right. That's kind of what they predicted. You can kind of just tell by watching the trailers. She's a telepath, and Kevin Feige's been wanting to go into the mutant saga after Secret Wars, so she delivers an amazing performance. That's another thing. The acting was very extraordinary from not only Sadie Sink, Tom Holland, John Bernthal as the Punisher. Like, that's where a lot of the comedy comes from, surprisingly, the kind of dynamic and banter between John Bernthal's Punisher and then Tom Holland's Spider-Man. That's a duo that I don't even know I needed to see. But, yeah, amazing jokes there. That's where a lot of the really good humor comes in. Everyone does great in their role. You really feel the emotions. I'm trying not to get too sidetracked and talk about everything, like too many different things at once. But yeah, even Jean Grey, like, yes, this is her first official appearance in the MCU, but it makes sense for her character and what she goes through. And then you can kind of wonder where she ends up next. And they're filming the new X-Men movie starting next year. So that'll be coming out within the next few years, and yeah, so that'll be really cool. The Hulk fight. So they finally did the Hulk right, which I'm so glad, because in the last few movies they've just made him out to be a joke, like dabbing and like just doing random shit. Like, he's supposed to be the Hulk. Like, I'm so glad this movie did him right. The only thing I would nitpick about that, and it's not even a bad thing, is that I want more. Like, I wish the scene was longer. Like, it made sense for the movie. Like, the movie's not about Hulk versus Spider-Man. Even though, for the few minutes that it was really awesome action. Like, I love to see it. And Hulk was, like, bigger, better than ever, angrier than ever. Well, probably not angrier than ever, but, yeah. He just had all that rage built up from the last few years, and it let it out. And the action was amazing. So, I love to see that. I just wish it was longer. But that's the only thing I can really nitpick about that. But yeah, emotion. So this movie, its biggest thing that it excelled at was the sense of relatability and the theme of just everybody needs human connection. Everybody needs to go through life with somebody. if you're by yourself for too long, you're kind of isolated from society, pushing people away, not letting them in, it's going to weigh on you. And when you start to go through some heavy things, if you don't have someone there to help you through it, it's not going to be good. And you just need somebody. So all the scenes that they dealt with those heavy topics like really hit hard for me. And like, yeah, I mean, I just had a smile on my face by the end of the movie. I don't know, it just lifted something inside of me because I love movies. And yeah, when people really put passion into their work, and like I can feel it, and they really did with this movie. I'm so happy with it. I loved it so much. The theme was just amazing. Like everybody needs somebody. And then I'll begin into spoilers here, but towards the end of the movie, Jean Grey is held captive by the Department of Damage Control because they're gonna do tests on her, and Peter Parker ended up developing a universal inhibitor, which turns off anybody with anybody's powers. So anybody that has powers, it'll turn them off. So he was able to develop that. And like I said, going back to how things in this movie could set up future things, you might be able to see where I'm going here if you're a fan of, you know, the movies and the comics. That could be a big problem for the mutants, because obviously the mutants are the one group in Marvel who's like looked down upon the most, and people try to kill them. People try to find ways to shut their powers off, and Spider-Man kind of just developed a way to do that and help out those bad people, whether he realized it or not. Jean Grey started off as like a villain in this movie because she was looking for her sister, and in the process of doing that, you know, she was kind of wreaking havoc to use certain people, get into their mind, to be under her control, to help her get into the places she needed to. Spider-Man thought she was just a villain doing bad stuff, so obviously he tried to get in her way and stop her, and then developed that inhibitor to put on her. He didn't know that she was actually just looking for her sister, and that she's actually, you know, not as bad as what she seems. So, regardless though, he just developed that. So that can set up some pretty big implications for the future of the MCU. I can definitely tell where they're going with that. But yeah, so Jean has that inhibitor. They're running tests on her, and she was trying to find where her sister was kidnapped, because her sister is also a telepath. And she discovered that the room that she was in, being held captive, is the last room that her sister was alive in. She found out that her sister died, and that caused her powers to evolve rapidly. She sent the whole, like, within like a mile radius or so, like into a like temporary mind freeze kind of paralyzed thing. And then Spider-Man was able to fight his way in to try to get to Jean to help her out. He's been going through some power evolution in this movie due to some, you know, trauma and things that add on to that, which you'll just have to watch the movie and see. I won't give everything away. But yeah, he's able to finally break through to where she is, and she goes into his mind, and she sees Aunt May, and Aunt May and her have a really emotional talk about something that Jean just needed to hear, because Jean and her sister were abandoned by their mom because they were born with powers. And for all of Jean's life, she was just under the assumption that nobody was going to love them because she was different, because she was special, and that everyone was going to fear them. But Aunt May, in Peter's mind, had that talk with her, telling her that people will treat her differently because she's special, but there are people who's going to love her just for who she is. And if she just lets people in, she doesn't have to do this alone. She doesn't have to live life alone without people. And that's something that Peter and Jean both needed to hear and realize. So they ended up, I won't give too much away, but they ended up kind of being there for each other and helping each other out in the end. Yeah, just really cool movie with some really good emotional themes. The action was done well. Visuals were amazing. There's a post-credit scene, which I believe there's some people speculate on what it could mean. It's at the end, very post-credit scene. There's like a Spidey tracker, because Ned developed this like spider tracker, and it shows where Spider's location is, like Spider-Man sightings, and it shows one in Queens, and then it zooms out and zooms out and zooms out, and eventually gets to space, and then starts like going all the way over into deep space, and then for a split second pops up a little Spider-Man sighting. So people are thinking that that might not even be Tom Holland Spider-Man in space. It could be like Tobey Maguire, hinting at Doomsday. It could be Miles Morales because there's a little glitch, like how in the animated Spider-Man movies, like with Miles Morales, the whole glitching thing. It kind of shows something like that right before it pops up. So, but then obviously like the main thing that people are speculating is that it's just hinting at Tom Holland Spider-Man being in either Doomsday or Secret Wars, which we already knew he most likely was in Secret Wars. Not so much Doomsday, but him and Yelena kind of form. Well, they already have a connection, you can tell, like going into this movie. But if she's someone that's on his mind when Thor comes and they're trying to recruit people, yeah, he could be in Doomsday if she grabs him. So that'd be cool. But yeah, overall, movie was amazing. I got a lot wrong, but I'm glad because the movie surprised me in so many ways I didn't even expect. I got hit pretty hard by some of those emotional moments, and another great addition to the MCU catalog. I really hope Tom Holland stays Spider-Man because me personally, growing up and probably always, Andrew Garfield will always be my favorite Spider-Man, but I love Tom Holland as Spider-Man, and I think he's proved to be the best Spider-Man just because he's given enough time to grow and do these different kinds of movies and showcase Spider-Man's story. So I think he is the best, and I love all of them as Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield's always going to be my favorite, but I still love Tom. Like he's doing amazing. So I hope he stays Spider-Man and gets another trilogy. So yeah, movie was great. 10 out of 10. S tier on the Landon ladder. So I appreciate you guys watching. Hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one.
Come on, come on, come on.